I'm Mike.
And I'm Adam.
And this is Stuff and Waffle. Two friends talking about stuff, and often as not, waffling with frequent reference to Bond cars.
I have a topic for us. It came to me the other day, and I thought, oh, that's probably a bit of us. And it was to pick your personal favourite car, era, and/or region.
Ooh, that's very interesting.
So just to sort of explain the ruling ever so slightly, you could have, for instance, a particular range of cars from a particular country in a particular decade, or you could go, actually, no, I'd rather pick cars from just one time period, or cars from just a particular country, or even a specific region of country. I'll leave it to you.
Interesting.
When thinking of it, I already kind of knew my answer.
Yeah.
As I'd imagine you do.
I've got some thoughts. I've got some initial thoughts. Yeah, I wouldn't say I've got a final answer at this point, but I've got some initial thoughts. Yeah.
May we have your thoughts then, please?
Well, my first thing that sprung to mind was Britain in the 70s, because they were all awful.
Right. Okay. So that's quite the opposite. Unless you're going for that particular feel of going, will I go out to the car and it works in the morning? Who knows?
Yes, that's right, indeed. Roulette, you could be car roulette. Yeah, absolutely. That wouldn't be my choice. It just struck me as interesting because it was an awful period.
It was a difficult period for Britain in the motor industry.
It was well put. Yes. It was.
Let's go with that. But I mean, if you compare it to the decade previous, you think, well, that was bordering on heyday.
Yeah, it probably was. Yeah, it probably was. We had a lot going on, didn't we, back then?
Yeah, we had
there were car companies coming out of our ears. They were everywhere.
Many gorgeous little sports cars.
Yes.
Pop yourself in a classic Mini.
Oh,
all the treats.
Absolutely. No, it was all going on, wasn't it? I mean, there was nothing particularly clever, but it was all, there was so much of it, was volume. There's so much going on.
All of the brands.
Yeah.
And then
most of them still independent then as well, which was nice.
Yeah, that was before they all became one in the 70s.
Yes, quite. The big stodgy lump that became British Leyland.
With the glorious logo that looks like a plug hole.
There you go.
Quite poignant, really.
The plug hole of despair, as they call it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but as you say, prior to that, a bit of a heyday. There was so much going on.
I mean, not to say that there weren't the odd gem to pop out of the 70s, but on the whole, not a good decade.
On the whole, if you're going to pick a period in time, that wouldn't be mine, I don't think. Not in this country. But then I did think of America in the same period. Now, exactly. Exactly. Very much the muscle car era. There was some fantastic stuff going on, and the names. It was the names that always struck me. There's some fantastic names: Thunderbird, Firebird, Corvette, Charger, Challenger. Just brilliant names.
Yeah, it's
Trans Am. I mean, it's just brilliant.
It's a bit more alluring than Allegro.
Very much so.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah,
they're just cool sounding names. I mean, I'm not saying they were brilliant cars as such, but they certainly knew how to market them.
Yeah, because you got to think probably early 70s was a kind of sweet spot for that sort of thing. Then obviously they had a bit of a fuel issue, and
they did early 80s. Yeah.
Well,
late 70s, early 80s.
Oh dear, that kind of ruined muscle cars, didn't it? But
it did a bit. Yeah, it did a bit. Everyone queuing up at the petrol pumps. Yeah, that didn't go so well. Yeah,
not a good look. But no, you could argue though it was the beginning of the 70s was much better than
Yeah,
anything that Britain produced in the entirety of the 70s.
absolutely. And of course, they all got their cars in really cool movies as well, which always helps. There
Mm,
were so many car-based movies and TV shows coming out of America in that era, which I think, yeah, helped a lot. Um,
yeah, that's going to
Dukes of
help.
Hazzard, The A Team, Knight Rider, all that stuff. Um,
Yeah, it will have no doubt shifted cars out of dealerships, wouldn't it?
I think so. Yeah,
Mm.
Smokey and the Bandit and that kind of stuff. I mean, they must have sold a few Trans Ams on the back of that.
Oh, yeah, must have done.
Must have
Everyone,
done.
everyone would have wanted to be a bit of that, wouldn't they?
Absolutely. Who didn't want to be Burt Reynolds in the 70s? Yeah.
Yeah, it's very true. Very true. Um, I can see that. I don't know. Would the American thing really grasp a lot of? I mean, I know we're being listened to worldwide, but in the UK, it's not something that we could relate to at the time, is it?
No, I don't think it. No, I mean, I think they were cool, but I think that's where it ended. I mean, none of that stuff was on sale over here, and none of it would have worked over here.
No, it would have looked
So no, I
ridiculous.
don't. I don't think so. British cars of that era were very different, shall we say? I think there was some as you got if we're talking about Britain specifically. I think as you move into the 1980s, there was some stuff that we now look back on quite fondly that was seemingly quite ordinary at the time, but you've got your Mark what would it have been Mark II Granadas and stuff like that, Mark III Granadas, the early Sierras, things like that came along in the 1980s that now we think of as actually quite cool.
That's it. It
Um,
doesn't even have to be the hot ones, really, does it?
no, not at all. No, in fact, in many ways, we get quite excited by the more ordinary ones that we actually saw and maybe even rode in at the time. Um, the sort of stuff your dad might have had. There's a
Yeah,
lot of nostalgia for that. Um,
yeah. Because I remember my granddad in particular. He was a Ford man,
mm,
and he had a Mark V Cortina,
oh,
uh,
yeah,
and he had that. What that must have been. He must have held on to that until about 87, 88.
right.
And then he had a Sierra.
Oh,
He had an estate.
oh,
Lovely thing.
that's the thing. You see, we look back on those now with such fondness.
Yeah, no, it would be nice to have something like that. There's
Yeah,
there's
it
the
would.
there's the odd time where one crops up when
Yeah,
you're driving around and you think, "Cool, look at that."
you do very occasionally still see a Cortina or a Sierra. I mean, they're very rare now, but you do
Mm.
occasionally see one, and yeah, it does catch your eye.
Yeah, you get all
And they
excited.
were substantially better than what had gone before. They were a leap forwards in
Oh,
terms
yeah,
of quality and
definitely.
reliability and performance and all of that. They were definitely a leap forwards. And the Sierra, particularly, was heavily criticized when it came out. They called it the jelly mold, and people
Oh,
didn't like it because it was so different. Um,
yeah. I mean, it was very all aerodynamics, good drag coefficient, and all that. But
yeah,
everyone thought that's weird.
yeah, it was. It changed the direction. It was the way car design went. Ford have done that a few times where they've come out with something really radical and kind of changed the direction of car design. The Sierra certainly did that, and the Focus did it later on. It was so bold a
Yeah,
departure from what had gone before, and so bold a departure from what anyone else was doing. I mean, you compare a Sierra to a Vauxhall Carlton. I mean, they're poles apart in the way they look.
yeah, yeah.
And of course, I suppose if we're talking 80s, we can include the Rover SD1 because that ran into the 80s.
It
Um,
did, and that was one of the particular highlights, I suppose, from a dodgy period.
yeah, I think so. Obviously, the this SD1 was a hangover from the 70s, It was a 70s design, and I don't think it had the build quality or anything that the Fords or the Vauxhalls had.
No.
Not in any way, shape, fashion, or form. But again, we look back on them now as really, really fondly. We really, we lust after those cars now.
Yeah, they are very cool.
And they were everywhere. Certainly when I was growing up, that was the cars that were out there.
Yeah, you expected to see them, and it's just, and it's sad because you don't really remember them going.
No, they just sort of did. Yeah. I can't tell you the last time I saw a Sierra out on the road.
There's really quite a ropey one in and around Barnstable.
Right.
It's a bit rough. It's quite smoky, but it soldiers on. You see it from time to time.
They used to be down in Appledore years ago. I haven't seen it for a very long time. There used to be a really early 3-door. I think it was beige.
Nice.
It would have been an 82 or an 83. I think it was something like a 1.6L, something like that. But yeah, a beige 3-door with that huge rear window.
Yeah, it was a big one, wasn't it?
It was. That was a long car to make into a 3-door.
Yeah, because I suppose, I mean, they wouldn't have changed wheelbase or anything, so you've just fill in the voids.
You just had an enormous door. I don't know. You wouldn't have been able to park it anywhere. You'd never get the door open.
No, you're going to have to be a skinny person to get in and out of that.
You really are. But they were still, because they did a 3-door Escort at that time as well. Even the Estate was available as a 3-door.
It was. Yeah, because that must have... Did that continue into Mark IV? The 3-door Estate?
Oh, good question. It might have done.
Yeah, I got a feeling it made it all the way to Mark IV before.
I think it may have done. Well, I think that's where it stopped. And then it was 5-door only. Yeah, see, that's the 3-door car has gone right out of fashion, hasn't it?
Yeah.
You just don't see them anymore. You just can't. I mean, you can't get them anymore.
No, that's it. Not unless it's a particularly small vehicle. That's your lot, really.
I think even the Fiesta ST now is 5-door only.
Really?
Don't think you can get the 3-door now. No. Golf GTI, the latest version of that, is 5-door only.
Oh, good heavens! What's wrong? What's happened? It shows how much attention I pay on new car websites.
Yes, come on, sort yourself out.
Honestly,
you're never going to get to the top with that kind of gaps in your knowledge, are you?
I promise I do read the Evo magazines that come through the door.
Yeah, you see more of it than I do, probably.
Maybe I just blank it out.
We just can't cope with that. Yeah.
Maybe they have reviewed the Golf GTI, and I looked at it and went, "Oh, there you go. They've reviewed a 5-door. That's interesting," and carried on to the next article.
You didn't realise that was all that they've made. I'm sure. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure that's correct. That it's 5-door only on the latest version, whatever it is, Mark
8,
7, 8. Yeah,
I think we're on 8 now.
I think we are.
Well, this is interesting news. I mean, as long as it's not an SUV and that's passed me by or anything, we're all right. As long as it's still a hot hatch, we're all right. I can cope.
It is still a hot hatch, but you can get 3-door SUVs, can't you? Because the Range Rover Evoque is available as a 3-door.
All right, nice.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on. It's making a point.
Sorry, no, it's a valid point. I just
saying.
I can't blame you for that.
I didn't make it. No. I'm just saying it exists. You don't have to like it.
No, it's like a trigger. You got to be careful with that.
Yeah. Anyway, I've drifted somewhat from my point, but Britain in the 80s is tempting.
It's interesting you pick that because that's your era of growing up and lusting after vehicles.
Yeah, it is, and I do. Yeah, find a lot of that era very tempting. I do. I look back on a lot of those cars as very fondly. Because it all went a bit wrong again in the 90s. Everything got a little bit dreary, from what I recall.
A bold statement. I was going to say, you might set me off again.
I might set you off again there. I'm not saying everything, but like you say, it's the 80s is the era when I became aware of cars, I suppose. So that's
Yeah.
what I look on very fondly.
What would have been your go-to vehicle from that era? If someone said to you as a kid and or teenager, and you went, "Oh, you can go and pick some cars that you really like."
Ooh, Escort XR3i, definitely. Yeah, I'd be straight on that. No messing. Yeah, I mean, they are beginning to go up in price quite quickly now, if you can find a good one. Any of the XR cars, actually, the Fiesta or even the Sierra XR4. Sierra XR4i, again, if you can find one, I mean, they were quite rare anyway.
Yes, they
But
were indeed.
nowadays, oh,
Good luck with that.
good luck trying to find one of those. Yeah, absolutely. So that might be a bit of a tall order, but my dad was a Ford guy, still is. I was always a Ford guy. I would always gravitate towards the Fords rather than the Vauxhalls, and of course, it was always the big battle between Ford and Vauxhall. I would absolutely have gone for Escort XR3i rather than Astra, or even
No,
Golf GTI. I would absolutely have gone for the Escort.
that's
Um,
interesting because you had all sorts to pick from. Because, like
there
you
was a
say,
lot going on there. Yeah, yeah,
you had GSRIs, GTEs,
yeah.
205 GTI.
205 GTI, a fine suggestion. But no, I would have, for the nostalgia of it, I would have gone for the Escort. I had several Escorts. My dad had several Escorts. Neither of us hadn't ever had an XR3i, but yeah, purely for the nostalgia of it, I would go for the Escort over any of the others. I never had much love for Vauxhall, not
So
at all.
I'm not criticizing. They're not my favorite brand at all.
No, no, no. It's an opinion. I'm not saying they're bad. I just didn't go for them. It didn't do anything for me. I was always a Ford guy, and now, as you say, if I was given the choice that you've just described, I would absolutely gravitate towards having the Fords of that era. A Sierra Estate is quite tempting.
Got a nicely specced one.
Yeah, the 2.3 gear, something like that. Lose yourself in the velour.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Don't spill anything.
Oh Christ, no. Yeah, no, that's never coming out.
No.
No, 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 and you're not gonna find any replacement interior panels now. So
You are buggered. Yeah. So
you got
do
to
be
be
careful
really
with your
careful
velour.
with that. Yes, anyone even comes near that with food,
No.
they're gonna get no.
No.
Yes,
That's a good shout. A nicely specced Ford of that era.
yes,
You could
yeah.
that you could. I mean, you could noticeably tell the trim level differences because
Oh, there
well,
was a class system.
yeah.
Absolutely, there was a class system there. Yeah, Vauxhall were just as guilty of that.
Yeah, of
Um,
course. Yeah, I mean,
but
yeah, they were
yeah,
all doing it, weren't they?
and I would probably, I mean, a Granada Gear X estate would be tempting, but the Sierra was more my era. So I'd probably go, yeah, a Sierra, yeah, big engined gear. So the 2.3i gear, something like that
Yeah, that'll do nicely, wouldn't it?
that would be lovely. Yeah, and it would,
That'll be comfy, nice.
yeah, that would be, yeah, you can do some serious wafting in that.
No, I
Oh yeah,
approve. Oh yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I would always gravitate towards the Fords of that era. I've got a real soft spot for them.
No,
So, yeah, Britain in the 80s, actually. Now I'm thinking of it, and I haven't prepared this.
you seem to have arrived at that quite nostalgically.
Quite nostalgically and quite naturally, really, without even particularly
That's it.
thinking about it.
No, I mean it's no surprise that you've gone British.
No, it probably isn't.
No one's shocked.
No one's surprised about that. I
No,
wouldn't. I wouldn't choose. Now we all know I have a soft spot for Jaguar, but I wouldn't choose Jaguar of the 80s.
probably not their finest hour.
I mean, the Series 3 XJ is very special, but it is going to be broken. Um,
mean,
That's never going to work when you want it to.
No, it's not. But you still, I mean, if you go back to your, as if you were in that particular era again, you still would have looked at it wantonly,
Oh
wouldn't you?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
The Series 3 XJ, I do have a real soft spot for. I think they're gorgeous. I think it's one of the best looking cars they've ever produced. But I am aware that they weren't the best built or most
No.
reliable cars. The
It's
XJ40 that followed it was much better. The XJ40 1980s? When did
I
the
think
XJ40 start?
it must have been late 80s.
Yeah,
Probably
it must have been.
87, 88 that appeared.
You could well, yes, because I think there's E and F plate ones, aren't there? I
Yeah,
am
it
going to
must be.
just look that up because we like to be accurate, don't we?
Yeah, let's be
Um,
accurate when they
let's
rolled
be
off the
accurate
production
on
line.
that one. We like that. 1986.
Oh, even
There we
earlier.
go. Earlier than we thought.
So we can get one on
Okay.
a D plate then?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. An XJ40 on a D plate. So if you could find a Sovereign, one of those with the 4-liter engine.
did they do 4 litre
Mm,
that early?
you've done a thing there, haven't
I've
you?
asked you. Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll ask the internet.
Ooh. No, the 4-liter
3.2?
didn't come in. 4-liter didn't come in until 93. So what did we have on those first cars? 89 to 92.
Must have been that 3.2 is the base one, surely.
Yeah, 3.2. Yes, right. Yes, 3.2, and then the 4-liter came in 93. Yeah.
Mm,
So
very
yeah.
good. So
So
you could
yeah,
have an XJ40 then.
could have an XJ40 if we're going purely with the heart.
Oh yeah, this that's all I'm going for with this.
I would go for a Series 3 because I just think the look of it is more Jaguar.
It is. It's retro
Yeah.
enough, but also, if it's possible, it can be a bit timeless as well.
Oh, very much so. I think they are. I think they're gorgeous. It was a lovely evolution of the Series 1 and the Series 2. The XJ40 was a departure, even though it was the same basic shape. The more sort of straight line, boxy styling, which was very much of the time. It's less classically Jaguar, I
Yeah,
think, than the
yeah,
Series 3.
definitely.
Um,
Um,
it's what you'd get if you tried to draw a Series 3 on an Etch a Sketch.
yeah, yeah. That's
to
that's
keep
that's.
to keep the analogies within period.
Oh yeah, we all had one. It's fine. Mine leaked
We
on the
did.
sofa.
Oh yeah, they all fell apart.
Yeah,
Absolutely, yes.
not good.
No.
We have to be quite specific, and obviously, if you're making British cars, I know we touched on it in our music videos episode, and a Series 3 in American spec is something quite wrong.
Oh yeah, well they ruined them, didn't they?
Absolutely buggered it.
Not restricted to the Series 3. They ruined all
Oh
sorts of cars. It wasn't quite as heinous as what they did to the XJS.
no, probably not.
But it was largely this. So the huge rubber bumpers, the lifted suspension.
And as
Just
we touched on before, got to put on them spoked wheels,
oh god, yeah. Well,
or
yeah.
wire wheels, even.
Wire wheels, yeah, and they did
Yeah,
on both the XJS and the XJ, yeah.
not so good.
A Series 3 XJ in European spec, so either the earlier ones with the Kent alloys or the slightly later ones with the pepper pots.
I'd go pepper pots if it were me.
Yeah, I think I probably the Kent ones are tempting, but yes, I'd probably go pepper pots.
I think I'd
Um,
go as well. I mean, if we're really pinned down, it'd be a nice burgundy with a cream interior, cream leather.
The burgundy was a very popular color. I mean, it always
Mm.
has been with all Jags. It's always been a popular Jag color.
Yeah.
I would be tempted to go. I don't know what it was called. They did like a bronzy color.
Yeah. I
I
know.
always quite liked that. Again,
Ooh,
with a cream interior.
while you remember that, I'm thinking that
I'm going to look up what
particular.
that color was called.
Well, I'm also wondering whether that was if the color you're thinking of is the same color as the Series 3 used in Snatch.
Possibly.
So I'm just going to go and grab you a little photo of the vehicle in question.
Please do. It probably is the same color I'm thinking of.
It's not the greatest photo in the world.
Chestnut bronze. It was called chestnut bronze metallic.
Okay,
Is the
right.
color I'm thinking of.
Let me chuck this at you, and you can tell me whether that's the same one.
No, it's not the same color. Although I would not find that color objectionable. I've always liked a gold car. I have had a gold car.
You have?
That
Just
I
like ZZ
did.
Top?
Oh, I tell you, it's all going on. That's going to confuse everyone unless we explain it.
Yeah.
No one's going to know what that means now.
No, this is true.
You've brought up the wrong thing now.
No, that's confused. Yeah, that's fine. It was for charity, wasn't it?
It was. It absolutely was. It was raising money for the local children's hospice. Now nobody's going to argue with it.
No, that's
no one. Now I've said that, no one will argue with it.
No, that's true. And actually, if you can see what I'm banging on about, actually, because they do it every year at the end of August. And if you check our Instagram feed, I put up the photos from this year's one. So
well done.
If you scroll back through, you can see it on there.
Grand Tour, which is absolutely nothing to do with Clarkson, Hammond, and May.
No.
And the organizer refused to sell them the domain name. How about that?
Nope,
because they did try. They did.
I bet
try.
they did. Oh, I bet they did.
They offered him a lot of money, and he refused to sell it.
No.
And they couldn't argue because he's been using it for 20 years to raise money for charity, so they didn't have a leg to stand on.
No, it's a good one.
Shout out to Terry Baker if he happens to listen to this.
I liked that. Yeah, that's good. And it's always enjoy that.
It's cracking, and I loved. I think I did it for 4 years. I marshaled 3 times. It was absolutely brilliant fun when I had my Mini Cooper. However, and my Mini Cooper was gold, which is how we got onto this subject. However, that is not the color I was thinking of.
Okay.
That is the color I was thinking of.
Ah, yes.
Yes.
That's quite a nice thing, isn't it?
I like that. Yes, and that one that one's on the lattice alloys actually, which came even later.
No, good choice there. Actually, thinking about it, that color you've shown me there,
chestnut bronze. So.
Chestnut bronze. There we go. I know you did tell me, but right. Yeah. I have right here. I think I have found, just to please me, at least a TV reference after I got my film reference wrong. I think this is the same color. Here we go. Coming at you.
Oh yeah, it will
there
be.
We go. That was another good 80s reference. That was from Alvidecene Pet Series 2, driven by the shit in it, Ali Fraser.
Although I may have to correct you, that is a Daimler.
Oh yeah. This is true.
Yes.
I think, but it is the color in question, so it's fine.
It is. I'm pretty sure. I mean, it's either an awful picture of the red, but I think it's the bronze. Yeah.
No, remembering the show, it was definitely
that has
a bronze.
The Kent alloys on it.
It does.
Yes, lovely.
Very nice.
Lovely. Yes, the force is quite strong with the Series 3. I've been tempted a few times, but I just know it's going to be a disaster.
A rusty money pit.
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? That's the problem. It's you're going to buy it with images like the ones we've just posted there in your mind, and it's going to turn out like that.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah. There's the difference between desire and reality there, isn't there?
There is. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. That's bad. It's just going to go wrong. But if we are talking purely from the heart, the Series 3 XJ, the force is strong with that one. Okay. I would absolutely adore that. So I think we are fairly firmly establishing Britain in the 80s for me.
Oh, that's good. I'm I'm glad we got there.
Yeah, so am I. I wasn't sure when we started.
I mean, I was fairly confident it was going to be this green and pleasant land that you'd
Oh, I'm a
choose.
patriotic fellow, you know.
Uh,
I don't go wandering off to Germany like you folks, you know.
what a thing to say.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't have been able to pin down a particular era. That was
No,
it was too open ended.
could have been any really. There are other nice cars from other eras, but I think on the whole, there are the cars I find most desirable. The most cars that I find most desirable. That sentence grew a few times as I was saying it.
Oh yeah.
Would be Britain in the 80s. And although strictly speaking, the Fords we mentioned, I believe I'm right in saying both the Escort and the Sierra would have been built in Belgium.
Entirely possible, but
Why does everybody laugh when they say the word Belgium? That's not fair at all. I do apologize to anyone who's listening.
It's just a country you don't associate with car production. I don't know why.
No, but they do. Well, they don't. They don't have their own car industry, do they? I don't think, but they do make a lot of cars there.
No, and fair play to them. Those cars that we in our head think are quite British. Yeah, they were good.
Oh,
Some
yeah.
good cars.
Absolutely. Yes, I mean it's strange, isn't it, that it's a phenomenon that we think of cars like the Sierra and the Escort and the Cortina and things like that as being terribly British, but they're from an American company and built in Belgium or Germany.
Yeah,
Not British at all.
No, not really, but they were everywhere. They were at their most popular in this country, I think.
I mean, they did go on to build Escort in the UK. The Halewood plant in Liverpool built Escort later on, but and I believe it was then retooled to make Jaguar XK.
Oh, very nice.
Yes,
Nice little bit of knowledge there. Very good.
No, you'd like that. The last Escort I had definitely came from Halewood because it said so on it.
Oh yeah, you had a badge, didn't you?
I had a badge because mine was one of the last ones.
That's
I had one of the run-out Escorts, and it had a crest on the rear doors saying that it had been built at Halewood. Yeah, so I know the last Escorts were built in Halewood, and I know the plant was then retooled to make the XK. So,
well,
good stuff. But yes, I think and we're Britain in the 80s, and I think we're possibly singling out Escort XR3i and Jag Series 3 XJ as two highlights for me.
Yeah, the most desirable. Yes, I can see where you'd go. That you've got the luxury vehicle or the hooligan vehicle, perhaps.
Well, if we're going back to our discussion of the other week, where we're picking our three, cars, your big practical. Not that you could daily a Series 3. Clearly, I'm under no illusions there.
Not even in the 80s could you daily it.
People tried.
No.
It's such a gorgeous looking thing, though, from every angle. They got that absolutely right.
Oh, most definitely. Yeah.
The proportions are just perfect.
Yep. No issues with that at all.
It was peak XJ, the Series 3.
No,
I would love a Series 3.
Oh, but
it would have to be very carefully chosen and probably would only be used on special occasions.
Yeah, but well, the trouble, isn't it? It's just it's going to require too much love.
That's the problem, isn't it? High maintenance. That you're going to have to pour so much into that if you want to actually use it.
Yes,
but I'd love to hear from some Series 3 owners actually as to is that genuinely the case? I mean, I think it is.
Yeah, it's true. We could be stereotyping here and go, well, actually, it's all right.
Yeah,
I don't see it being all right, but
I don't see it being all right. And you very rarely do you see one. You do occasionally, but it's a rare old sight. Yeah, as are any of them actually from that era now.
Yeah, any of the ones you've listed off there, that's a very
but rust
rare
was
sight.
The thing then, wasn't it? They just weren't protected from it. All cars rusted then. It didn't matter what it was. It was going to rust. I don't think even Japanese cars of that era rusted.
They weren't built expecting people to be desiring them 40 years later.
Well, some of them didn't even last 2 or 3 years.
No, those were perhaps the most dodgy of the selection.
I think a well cared for XR3i. I think you'd probably be okay with. I don't think it would be as bad as the Jag.
No, I think you're probably right.
In
But
terms
like you
of
say,
living with it, I think it would need a bit of care and attention, but I think you could use it fairly regularly, and it would be all right.
yeah, it's probably slightly less complicated on a mechanical front as well.
Well, absolutely. Well, especially if you went for a V12 Series 3. Yeah, I mean,
Oh my goodness me.
Truth.
Yeah, that's going to be complicated.
It would make
Pipes
a
and
wonderful.
hoses and
It would make a wonderful noise once.
yeah,
all done.
Followed by a really horrible one.
Yeah, probably ending in some sort of clank.
Yeah,
and then
a puff of smoke.
All done there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, time to raid the bank balance once again.
Or put it on a plinth and just look at it.
Yeah, but you would want to drive it, wouldn't you? Goodness me, it's a cool thing.
Such a cool car, isn't it?
Mm.
Even we could get away with perhaps looking almost cool in one of those, because it's supposed to be driven by a, perhaps a older, slightly more portly gentleman.
I never got that driving the XJ40.
Did you not?
No, I enjoyed driving that a lot. And Kaylee said you just look ridiculous. So,
well, the problem with it is it's quite a big car, and although you're quite tall, you're not big.
No,
so I wonder if the proportions were slightly out.
Yeah, and you say, well, it was quite a big car, and when I drove it, no one else wanted to get into it. So,
no, well, that's fair. Yeah,
you do look like a right tit on your own in it.
I suppose. I don't know that you would in a Series 3.
No, I suppose not. I suppose it's got a bit more retro, a bit more nostalgia on its side.
Well, I think the Series 3's got a bit more of a whiff of the gangster about it as well, which the XJ40 never really got.
No, which is a very valid point, because you think the XJ that followed it, the 300 and such like, they got that back, I think, because of the styling.
Yeah, because they went backwards with the styling. They went back to the more rounded, curvy Series 3. In many ways, the XJ40 was sort of the aberration. It didn't follow the styling, although it was the same basic shape. It was like, as I say, what you'd get if you looked at a Series 3, but then squinted quite a lot. And all the curves would be smoothed out into lines.
Well, it was the XJ in the 80s, wasn't it? So there you go. That's why
it was very much of its time. Yeah, very much of its time. And I'm not saying it's a bad looking car. I just don't think it's as nice as the Series 3 or the X300 that followed it.
I think that's fair.
Personally, the XJ40 would be lower down my list if I was in the market for a classic XJ. XJ40 would be further down the list, even though it was certainly better screwed together than the Series 3.
Yeah, and I think the world in general agrees with you if you look at prices.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's quite a difference now.
So there you go. Top tip, buy an XJ40 and wait for the prices to go up.
There you go. Good consumer advice there.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Consumer advice. Go and buy one of those to daily. Enjoy that, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Oh, it's solid advice there, mate. Yeah, absolutely. We're safe with that. Yeah, I'll stand by that advice. No bother at all.
Dear.
Yes, very good. So yes, although I've honed in on a few specifics there, I think I'm content with my choice of Britain in the 80s. Giving you all that thinking time now.
Well, I didn't need a lot of thinking time because I thought of the topic, so I'm all right.
Oh, that's true. You've only just sprung this on me. Yes.
It's fine because I thought, well, this is fine to spring on you because this is personal preference. So away you go.
Yeah, we're not saying these are good cars, bad cars. This is purely from the heart.
Yeah, this is what you want.
Yeah.
So after you nearly brought me to tears when you said nothing half decent in the 90s.
I sensed you paused there for a moment. I didn't actually say that. You've misquoted me there.
No, this is I was just paraphrasing. It's fine.
Yes.
My selection actually is from the 90s.
Okay.
and it's from Japan.
Ah, well, I was talking about Britain, of course.
Yeah,
So
I suppose so. Yeah, the
yes,
90s Britain. That wasn't really an era for cars, was it?
my point entirely. Yes,
No,
exactly. However, Japan. Now, yes, Japan in the 90s. There was all sorts going on, wasn't there?
it was very busy, and
It was very busy. Yeah.
I'm thinking back to the things that as a teen and I just wanted but couldn't have, and there was a lot.
Oh yeah.
You go back and you think, well, actually, I was of that just about the right age to be of that Gran Turismo generation. The first time that game came out,
Yes, of course. I think a lot of people were influenced by that.
and the first incarnation of that game, with it being Japanese developers and publishers, no car manufacturers outside of Japan, with a few exceptions, really wanted in on it. They didn't. That concept of going, right, well, we've got this game claiming to be the real driving simulator. Do we need to get in on this? We don't know. This is new territory, and it introduced us to so many cars, and you think, oh my god, why don't we have these?
Yeah.
That was the biggest thing. And you look at some of these. I mean,
It was telling you about cars you didn't otherwise know about.
that's right. I mean, and in some cases we did get them.
Yes.
I mean, you look at the real sort of fancy ones, and you go, well, like Honda NSX, for instance. We did get that here, perhaps not in all its incarnations, but
No, but we did get it. Yeah, we did.
that was here. That was quite. I mean, that was quite the desirable thing. I mean, although never really sold in massive numbers.
We both know a chap who's got one, in fact.
Yeah, but he's got a reasonably later on one. He's got.
Oh, yeah.
It was. I think it was after their facelift, wasn't it? I
I think his is an N plate, which would make it 94, 95.
Oh no, maybe not. No, he would have just missed the facelift actually, then, wouldn't he? So yeah,
Don't
no,
think his is a facelift. No,
no,
don't think
okay.
I wouldn't. So it's a while since I've seen it, but I don't.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I haven't seen it in
Yeah,
a long time.
no.
No, pre-facelift then,
I'm pretty
which
sure
is
he's still got it though. There's no way he'd ever sell it.
oh my god, no. When he bought that, he's sitting on a gold mine now.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. But he used to take that to track days. I don't know if he still does.
Yeah, I've seen him because I bumped into him a few times at the odd piston head meet.
Right. Yeah. Well, I know him from the Mini Grand Tour because his wife has a classic Mini.
Oh, there you go.
That's how I met him. So,
Oh well,
yeah.
here we go. This episode has really come together there.
Oh yeah, beautiful that. Yes.
Links everywhere. But yeah,
Yes.
if you think NSX and you go, well, oh my goodness me, they did the NSXR, a real sort of stripped out, lightweight one.
Yeah.
I'm sure all these fancy ones were Japan only.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm sure all the variants were. I can't imagine
Um,
they'd have brought more than one or two over here.
Because they did the NSX S a little bit after that. Because I think the R was perhaps the hardest version they ever. Then they did the S, and then they did the S0, which was they're all just sort of lightweight. Strip it out, go for it.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, very good. But you're like to your average man on the street, they weren't really attainable. But then
No,
you look,
not at all.
but
Yeah.
then you look at the other stuff that was at the time, where you think you saw enough of them to go, cool, I want one of those because you got your Evos, your Imprezas, your RX-7s,
Yes.
all of these cars that to a teenager are like, well, this is brilliant.
Yes.
Because I think if you look at like Evos, I think probably my favourites, perhaps the 4 and the 6. I think
Yeah.
that was
They
peak
did
for me.
some that weren't quite so hot, didn't they? Or weren't as well received.
I think the later ones, while performance wise, you think, oh yeah, they're impressive because you think the Evo 8s and 9s, and they did those FQ 400s, and you think those are ridiculously fast things.
Yeah.
Fragile little beasts.
Oh, completely. Yeah, it's all very delicate.
But you think those ones, they didn't have the same sort of rallying heritage. While they were still rallied, they weren't as successful.
Yes, that's probably fair to say. Yeah.
Yeah, and you think if you went the same as the Impreza route, if you went, and I mean the Impreza that you would want if you could ever find one would be the two-door wide-bodied 22B.
Oh, Struth.
That was because they all had the EJ variant engine, but that had the EJ 22 2.2, and you think there were 16 officially imported to the UK, and they were imported by ProDrive, so it wasn't actually sent by Subaru. ProDrive, who's prepped the rally cars, imported 16 cars to be sold for the road.
Yes, I've just looked that up. That's incredible.
And because there were so few, they couldn't be like sold like as a standard sort of dealer car or anything like that, because there were so few. They hadn't been tested and passed laws and stuff. So all 16 had to be registered SVA.
Yeah, of course. Didn't meet the rules.
No, even though they would have passed the rule, you've got 16 coming in. Who's going to crash test one?
Well, quite. Yes, exactly. Yes. Lovely choice.
That's the holy grail if you want an Impreza. It's one of those things where everyone gets all excited about the two doors. Actually, I know it's the one that they rallied from 97 onwards, but if you look at the wheelbase on them, it's the same as the four door. It's just
it is. Yeah,
they didn't change the underpinnings or the mechanicals because
no, it's the same car.
They're still flogging four doors.
Like we were saying earlier about the Sierra, it's the same car. It's just got really long doors.
Yeah. I mean, fortunately, the Impreza wasn't such a long wheelbase as the Sierras.
No, I could say ridiculous. It worked better on the the 3-door Sierra just looked as you say, ridiculous. It was so ungainly and out of balance.
Yeah.
It worked much better with the Impreza. A smaller car to begin with.
And you go, well, I think then some of the real rarities then, even though they were sold over here, actually. I mean, we look in Japan, they had the Silvia, I'm thinking particularly the S13 variant.
Yeah.
Which was never really here, but they did then make the 180SX.
Yes.
Coupe, which that was the Japan. That's what it was called in Japan. In Europe, we had the 200SX.
Okay. Yeah.
And in the USA, it was a 240SX. If you look,
yep. Okay. Yes.
But those things are really cool cars. They're quite compact little coupes.
Yeah.
2-liter turbocharged things. Wonderful.
Yeah.
That's
where it's at. Yeah.
I really, really fancy that. And I'll tell you what, they even in that era catered for practical vehicles as well. Because not only can you still tear your face off, but you can put a lot of stuff in the back. You could have had, granted, you would probably have to import it, but Subaru Legacy GTB.
Ooh, the Subaru Legacy. Yes.
You think?
Yes.
Yeah. Again, still the same sort of similar underpinnings to the Impreza. It's 2-liter turbocharged 4-wheel drive estate, cool looking car.
Oh, yeah.
That's
a
bit of me. That
the Legacy Outback. I have actually looked at a few of those. It would be such a safe choice because that is never going wrong.
Well, some of the later ones, perhaps.
But but yes.
90s, you'd be all right.
The era we're talking about, yes.
Yeah.
That's
practical cars. And here's one. There was obviously only sold in Japan, hence the name, because I had the Nissan Micra, but the Nissan March Super Turbo.
That's a very Japanese name, isn't it? It was if you put super in front of it, it's better.
There's a reason they put super in front of it.
Oh God.
It was a 1 litre engine with a supercharger and a turbocharger.
Oh my word. That
Yeah.
will in a car as little as that. That's gonna, as you to use your phrase, take your face off.
Yeah. I think weight was about 850 kilos.
I've never heard of anybody supercharging and turbocharging. I
That
didn't know that
was
was possible.
that was from Nissan themselves. It
Ruth,
was a bit of
that's
a homologation
insane.
special, and it was basically supercharged in the lower revs, turbocharged in the higher revs. 0 to 60 of 7.7 seconds, and to this day, it's still the fastest production micro or march in Nissan's history.
Wow.
There you go.
There you go. I like that.
Good luck
That's
finding one of those.
God. Yeah, well, they'll all be up trees, won't they? Struth. I mean, to that that's insane. Wow.
Really cool little thing.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, I'm just looking at them. That's amazing.
I tell you what,
Yeah.
actually, if you want to really find out about one and
Wow.
mildly entertained at the same time, Mighty Car Mods got one. Uh,
Oh, okay.
they did, I think they did something for Discovery Channel a couple of years back where they actually filmed it when they were in Japan. And then on their own channel, a couple of years later, they finally got it imported to Australia and did some videos about it.
Right.
So
Wow.
there you go. Go ahead and check
Well,
out.
I
Go and
would,
check out Marty
yes.
and Moog, and they'll show you around
Everyone
it.
will go and look at that now. Yeah, that's
Mm.
brilliant. What a fantastic combination.
That was
Little boxy hatchback with absolutely insane engine.
that was ahead of its time. That because you
Oh
think
yeah.
now the rally cars have well most eras following that all had anti-lag systems and things like that. Whereas
Yeah.
Nissan were like, well, we've got this.
Yes.
Mm,
That's unbelievable. Yeah. Very
impressive.
nice. Nice car to single out. That.
Mm.
Yeah. What a
Yeah,
thing.
that's kind of dream micro. That is,
Well, like
if
you
there is
say,
such
and
a
you'll
thing.
never, if there is such a thing as my dream micro, yes,
That's it. Yeah.
that's it. You'll never find one.
No, this is, and I suppose if we're on Nissan, we should mention Skyline.
We should mention Skyline of all the variations of it.
We
They are
should,
all really popular.
and all very expensive now. And
Yes,
I
very.
think, as I've singled out 90s, obviously the Skyline spanned the 90s quite nicely.
Yeah, it did.
But if I'm going to pick out a variant that's my favourite and was
Ooh,
made entirely in the 90s, which is fine, that was the R33. Now that was that
okay.
that's the one, and obviously everyone wants GTR
Yes.
because that's the one you want. I mean, you can try as you might to find the even hotter ones. Just thinking there was the GTR LM,
Yeah.
and the even rarer than that, and I've only ever seen it in Gran Turismo. Um, the the R33 Nismo 400R.
Okay.
Now that's the one.
That's a very interesting choice. So you would go for the R33.
Yeah, I think styling wise, that's the one for me.
Yeah,
I really really like that.
it's good. It's a classic shape, isn't it? It's a classic shape.
Yeah, I've never driven one. Annoyingly, I've been in several.
Have you?
Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
but never been behind the wheel. And I tell you what, it was the first car that I really learned what turbo lag was.
Yeah, I imagine that's got it in spades.
Because I was just catatonic with excitement about being in it.
Yes, I imagine you would be. Yeah.
And we set off, and I'm thinking, well, okay. I mean, it was reasonably quick, and then the revs built, and it was take your face off.
Yeah. just suddenly kicked
Oh
in.
my goodness me, what a thing. The noise as well.
I think purely from the looks, I probably slightly prefer the 32.
Okay,
But
yeah,
that's
it's
purely
still,
personal choice. There's not a lot in it, to be fair. They're basically the same.
but yeah,
Yes.
I think, yeah, I could see that. I could see why you'd go
Yeah.
32. That's
Yeah.
that's absolutely fine. I'm not. I like all of them.
Yes, you're not going to be upset if any one of the variations pops on your driveway there. No.
No, 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 no. But yeah, I thought. Well, if we're on Nissan, that you can't not mention that.
Mm.
So, but yes, there we are. I think, yeah, bit of
You've
Japan in the
gone
90s.
you've gone to Japan in the 90s. That's a yeah, well you're going to end up with something a lot more reliable than I am with Britain in the 80s, I think.
I think they all share that common thing of tuned vehicles. I
You're
don't.
going to
I'm not.
crash past me in your GTR and I'm going to be on the hard shoulder said no, it's gone again. It won't. I can't. The steam everywhere.
It's quite interesting because what I've mentioned there, I think I've listed all the cars I listed, bar one, were turbocharged, and one was supercharged as well.
And one,
But
yes.
but the Honda NSX was the only naturally aspirated one there.
Okay.
A bit of a theme
Okay.
there from Japan
Bit of
because you
a
think,
bit of a yeah, well, yeah. You have also chosen exclusively performance cars.
yeah,
I suppose I did with the XR3i, but not with the Series 3 XJ.
no, I mean that had more than adequate performance. I'll be honest.
Oh yeah, I mean you get the 5.3 V12, and it's no slouch. No, absolutely.
I just think, yes, we had supercars on the wall, but these were the ones that didn't seem too far away from being able to get.
No, the Japanese stuff, it was a bit more sensibly priced, wasn't it? And it just seemed more accessible. I mean, you could have. I didn't think you would go whatever your favorite era of 911 is, and base your answer around that. And
No,
neither of
that's
us,
tricky.
yeah, that is tricky. Neither of us has gone with anything Italian
No, this is true.
because Italy in the 60s or 70s. I mean, Lamborghini Miura, stuff like that. There would have been a lot to work with there, but neither of us has considered that.
No,
Um,
but interestingly, both of us have considered what we would have been
yeah,
desiring probably in and around teens.
yeah, absolutely. I
And
am slightly older than you, so that would,
that works roughly
yeah,
time wise,
yeah,
doesn't it? Because you think,
yes,
well, granted, I wouldn't have seen all of these Japanese things. I would have seen enough.
yes,
There was more than enough of these things rolling around because there were where we lived. There were certainly Evos and Imprezas. A particular is another Mitsubishi nod. There was 3000 GT.
yeah. That's yeah, yeah.
Or GTO if you are JDM. Um,
I'm not. Um,
cool car that.
yes,
Problematic
absolutely.
as you like, but cool.
Oh, awful.
When
Yeah,
someone else has got it, that's really cool. When
yeah.
I've got it, oh god.
When you're responsible for it, oh no,
Mm.
it's gone again.
Yeah. Ah, I almost glossed over Toyota.
Yeah, a lot of people do.
And these two should not be glossed over. Well, they've popped into my head. If you're thinking the epitome of 90s, how about the A80 Supra?
Ooh. Well, allow me to look that up. So let me just be absolutely familiar with what
Yeah,
you're.
because that would have been fourth gen.
Oh, well, interesting. Okay, yeah, interesting.
Similar, mind you, again, it fits the bill. Was that there was 3 litre inline twin turbo? So
Very
still,
Japanese, isn't it? It's
yep.
very Japanese.
And if we go down the rallying route, the Toyota Celica GT4 ST205.
They liked a long name, didn't they?
Oh, it's important to get the variant in there. Very important.
Yeah. Yeah, again, yes, I think I prefer the look of that
Picture that with
to
a
the Supra.
Castrol livery.
Yes, as I'm sure you do. Yes. Yeah, well, again, those are probably quite accessible now.
No, I think they've gone now. I
Have they
think there
gone?
was. I think there was a period where you could have been quids in, and now everyone sort of went, "Well, these Japanese cars, these are properly cool now."
I'm thinking of the more basic models, I think, of that.
Yeah, perhaps less desirable.
Not specifically the one you're thinking of, but
Well, you think Toyotas of that era will have just worked. Those two
well,
that I mentioned are quite exciting. The ones, I
yes.
mean, the Supra was exciting non-stop. They didn't do boring versions of that. The Celica, they obviously did do more toned down versions.
Yeah, absolutely. Good choices. Japan in the 90s. You can't go too far wrong, really, can you?
No, no. The only thing that really is going to hamper you with that is A, the prices have gone up a little bit, and B,
Yes.
the main one is that obviously they are quite look at me cars, and you do get a bit of the dickhead about it.
People are going to make assumptions about you when they see you in any one of those. Yes.
Yeah, I've seen it happen, and I don't personally care. I would have anything I listed there,
Oh, you're
and
in there having the time of your life. You don't
yeah,
care what the guy on the pavement thinks. No,
yeah.
absolutely.
I'm a discerning gentleman. I don't care what you think.
Yes.
I've
But
chosen my car very well.
the
Thank you.
how should we put this? That a lot of the people who would buy those cars now, yeah,
No,
wouldn't.
I think actually the
Uh,
problem was when they were really dirt cheap. They perhaps the modding scene, which yeah,
I think that's what I'm thinking of. It's the people who are buying those modded cars now, perhaps second or third or even fourth hand. Um,
yeah. I think we're a bit safer now. But if you think perhaps in the 2000s,
mm,
that would have been where that
when most of these
assumption would
cars
have
wouldn't have
been.
been, they wouldn't have been worth anything. So
No, you would have been able
yeah,
to acquire them for a bit less than, well, significantly less than you can now.
yeah. So
And
people did, and they messed with them.
yeah, they messed with them, and that's perhaps why we've got these assumptions now with
Yeah.
such things. But I think I could look past it because
Yes.
I think I'd like you say I'd be having the time of my life.
Quite. So why would you care?
Yeah, that's it. I'm transported back to being a carefree teenager.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, have a
So
bit of that in your life. Yeah.
I'll do nicely, thank you. I don't give a
Yes.
toss what you think.
We could all use a bit of that kind of escapism.
Mm.
Yeah,
So yeah.
absolutely.
So yeah, there we go. So we've got Britain in the 80s and Japan in the 90s.
That's going to make for a very interesting garage.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, but well, after what we've been reeling off, we're going to need a big old garage.
It's going to have to be yeah, well, we're talking barn, aren't we? Really, warehouse sort of thing, really.
Mind you, in fairness, you really honed in on two, didn't you?
I did really. I kind of did only. Yeah,
Mm.
you've listed loads.
Oh, yeah, just stuff that's cropped into my. I tell you what, right, go on then. So if I've got to whittle it down to two,
New rule.
okay, all of those are contenders, but if it was, you must have a choice just to follow suit. I think it would be the Impreza 22B. You've got the rarity and you've got the Colin McRae factor. Very
Yeah, and
difficult to.
that's quite strong, isn't it?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, actually though, because
it's a good looking car.
you say you got the Colin McRae factor because the 22B was 98, I think,
Ah,
or 99. I can't remember exactly.
oh,
He'd already defected to Ford by then.
he was off piloting Focuses by then.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
98 was his first year in the Focus. But
Ah, I think
he definitely rallied a two-door Impreza in 97.
right. Come on, I'm
So
going to
that's
look this up.
so yeah, you don't, right, I want you to pin it down. I want the year of the 22B, please. And I think for more of that rarity factor, as much as I'd like to go Skyline, I'd probably more lean towards the Nissan 200SX, because when did you last see one of those?
Yeah, they're nice. I would be with you on that. Impreza 22B 1998.
There you go. See, I was
Oh,
right.
you're on it, aren't you? You're on it.
So yeah, not strictly a McRae car, but you think of a blue Impreza.
Yes, it was. It was produced as a celebration of the World Rally Team's hat trick of World Rally Championship titles between 1995 and 1997.
Oh, and wasn't it to commemorate the 40th anniversary of
Yes,
Subaru?
it was. Yes, it was. Well done. Very
Oh,
good.
there you go.
I wouldn't have known that. I only know that because it's written in front of me on Google. Yeah. But you knew it anyway, so well done.
There we go. Well, okay, there we go. I've whittled it down to 2.
You have. God, what a 4-car garage we've got there.
Oh yeah,
it's all going on there, isn't it?
Oh, we are spoiled there.
You will be giving me a lift quite often because mine aren't going to go.
Yeah. You're going to be leaning on that Japanese reliability.
I am. Going to be out there in the morning, and I'm going to. It won't go. Can I catch a lift? It just won't start again.
Yeah, it's fine. Be all right. You've got to look like a prick in the passenger seat, but we're off. Yeah.
Well, as long as I'll get to where I need to be.
I promise I won't do donuts in the car park.
If you could, you'll spray gravel all over my Series 3. I can't have that.
Oh, no. When I drop you off at your destination, it's fine.
Oh, fine. Oh, well, once I've got out, you can spin around like a fool as long as you want. That's fine.
Oh, very good. Right. Well, there we go. That's that.
Sorted.
If anyone thinks we're wrong, do let us know. But I know I'm right for me, so that's good.
How could anyone think we're wrong? Those choices are unquestionable.
Oh, I know a certain listener will be picking, I don't know what era, but it'll be French. My goodness me. Naming no names.
Well, I think that's probably enough of that for this week. Check us out on all the various social medias and things. Thank you very much for listening.